Hi, this is where I answer questions that you've brought up with me, and this is the third video of 3 videos where I talk about what to do if you're getting feedback that you speak too fast. And the question was, is there a correct tempo for speech? So we talked in videos 1 and 2 about the fact that you know you're talking too fast if you are struggling to keep up with what you're trying to say. Like physically, it's very difficult for you to speak because your speech muscles are tripping up over your words. And you know that you're speaking too fast if your listener is struggling to keep up with you. But if you try to address either of those things by artificially slowing down your tempo, it's going to feel too weird to you and too weird to your listener, and it's going to be really hard to maintain. So instead, we're looking at the why this happens so that we can address the why and come up with a much better feeling way for you speaking at a tempo that feels good to you. And the why is really that you start speaking too fast when you're excited or you're nervous or you're passionate about what you're trying to say. And that energy tends to move up through the body like this, and that's what kind of brings everything up into quite a little bit of a faster speed. So my first tip in my first video was, let's ground the body. My second tip in my second video was, let's remind you that you have the space and time to breathe deeply when you speak. You don't have to rush yourself. And this video is about if you're doing both of those other 2 things, but you still feel like you're speaking too fast. Here's a third tip. It might be because you've gotten into a habit of just slightly crunching the sounds within your words, rushing through those syllables a little bit so that the sounds get crunched. And that is especially true if you're rushing through your vowel sounds. So you hear if I start to speed up, you can hear that my vowel sounds are a little bit crunched, right? So it's a little bit hard to keep up with me. And in fact, it affects my volume and other things. And that's because our voices resonate on our vowel sounds. That's where the literal vibrations of our voice happen and travel through the space so that you can hear me, essentially. So if we're rushing through our vowel sounds, or if you find that's true for you, there's a very simple direction that you can give yourself that can help shift your attention. Shift your attention not in such a way that you're listening to yourself, but rather just giving yourself a useful direction that will help you. Okay, so it starts with making sure you're grounded, making sure that you're breathing deeply. So watch videos 1 and 2 for that. Once you're grounded, once you're breathing deeply, before you start to speak, give yourself the direction, honor your vowels, and then begin to speak. And there's something about that simple direction of honoring your vowels you can just trust from there that just reminds the body, oh yes, I have the space and time to really say all of my words. I don't have to rush through any of them. But not in such a way that I have to listen to myself, more in a way that I'm letting myself take my time. You'll know this is making a difference if suddenly it's not such an effort to talk. So if whereas before you felt like your speech muscles were literally tripping over what you were trying to say, if suddenly it feels a lot more easy to speak, you know, okay, I've hit the right tempo. So those are my 3 tips. Again, like with the first 2, this tip will work better if you have an ongoing practice. One thing I want to say is this is especially important with proper nouns. We can tend to fill in the gaps if we miss some of the words that aren't proper nouns in what you're saying, based on context. But with things like proper nouns, as in people, places, or things, we have no context for those things. So those are areas where you might need to think a little bit about your tempo, especially if you're giving a more formal speech, right? So things like when you're introducing your name, a lot of people tend to rush when they say their names. Make sure you slow down when you're introducing yourself. And I'll give an example right now. If you would like some warm-ups to help you, you can go to my Bespoke Speaks podcast, which you can find on any podcatcher and also on bespoke-communication.com. If I didn't slow those names down, you might not hear it and you might not be able to find me. So make sure you can get those proper nouns, and that might be the one exception of when you need to slow down a little bit more deliberately. Okay. Those are my 3 tips. I wish you all the best. Thank you for the question. Let me know what you think. Good luck.